Hey guys, AJ here, back with another one. So, yeah, I haven't posted in a little bit. Work has been crazy, but I'm gonna try and post a little bit more often. So I want to be honest. I've been watching TCAP for man since 2004, 2005, but I was never really into the TCAP community. So I've been trying to get more into the subreddits, and I watch a lot of the guys on YouTube like Joey TCAP, etc. But I don't know how I was like not privy to the awesomeness that's the TCAP subreddits because they're hilarious, and bless every single person that's on there because you guys are awesome. Some of the threads and memes and stuff are just ridiculous. And I work from home, so I'll be just kind of like laughing. I'll take a break from work and go on the Reddit and literally be in tears, just laughing the entire time. So I'm gonna try and be on the subreddits more and just be more of an active part of the TCAP community because it's nice to know that there's people that have either been watching the show for as long as I have, or people who are new to the show and you see them chiming in too. So it's crazy being part of this phenomenon that's been going on for this long and seeing that like it's like the love of this show is some shared experience that we can all enjoy at these perverts expense. So today we're going to go over Donald Morrison. I saw Joey TCAP just posted a video that said that Donald Morrison just passed away. So I remember him because he's the one of the people on the show that just looked just like a child molester. Like if you think about the stereotypical dude that you don't want hanging around your kid's school, like this guy with the glasses, a dirty shirt, and just everything about him. It's like you don't want this guy around your kids. And I know that Chris Hansen goes, yeah, you can't tell what a pervert looks like, but it's like, dude, if you were to line 15 guys up and put Donald Morrison in there, I guarantee most people would point to him and say he's the pervert. So, I'm new to the chat logs. I never really looked at them, and having read this one, I'm kind of glad I never have until now. But I guess we can get into it just a little bit. So this decoy calls herself Snakes on a Girl. So this is back when like Snakes on a Plane was big. Yeah, that was my senior year of college. I like that movie, so whatever. If anyone doesn't like it, whatever. But it was a good movie. So this girl calls herself Snakes on a Girl, and he calls himself Donnie 1957 Male, which is like the most imaginative title ever because I think that's his birth year. So, the decoy says, "Hey ya," and he says, "How are you?" And she says, "I'm good." And he says, "I'm Donnie from Fort Myers." And she says, the decoy says, "Hey Donnie, I'm Sarah." And Donnie says, "I'm 48." And she says, "Oh, I'm 15." And he goes, "Any pics?" And she says, "Yeah, on my profile and on MySpace." And Donnie says, "Mine too. You have any bro or sis?" And the decoy says, "Cool, 1 second." And it says, "Wow, you're a cowboy." And no, I do not. And I like how the decoy is like putting these kind of these cliff notes here. So he says he's got a ridiculously small looking picture of him wearing a cowboy hat on his profile. Donnie says, "I love horses." And she says, "That's awesome. So do I. Do you got horses?" And the thing is, the guy obviously is a dumbass. So you can see, like, imagine him trying to type and communicate. Obviously, he's not the smartest man in the world. I also like how up here, there's no image, so it says pervert has no picture. Thank you, perverted justice. That's great. So he says to the decoy, "You're cute, YER." "No, I don't. I did win in Texas." And the decoy says, "Oh, that's too bad. I love horses, and thanks. Most guys think I'm a geek." And the decoy says in the notes, which is true since I was playing a really geeky character in general. Snakes unemployed for the win. Donnie says, wish you were 18. And the decoy says, don't start that junk. Sorry. Yeah, that's lame. And then look, he says, had a girlfriend that was 17 once, and that turned out to be true, says the decoy on the chat log here. And she says, oh, that's cool. And he says, where in Florida are you? And she says, I'm pretty close. He's like, to Fort Myers? And he says, okay. Now, I don't know why he asked this again. He says, you have horses? And she says, LOL, no. And he says, okay, I go riding with you if you did. She says, cool. He says, the nearest mall to you. What? So he's asking like, what's the closest mall to you? And he says mall with one L. So it's funny that this person's playing a decoy that's 15 years old, and her grammar is better than his, and he's old. She says, Edison, are you allowed out tonight? And she says, what do you mean? He says, want to have a burger later? Who asks any woman nowadays to have a burger, let alone a grown man asking like what did she say? She was 15, I believe. Yeah, you want to have a burger? She says already had dinner. He says, "Okay." She says, thanks for the offer though. I'm just not hungry. Okay. Would meet you 'cause you're nice. That's sweet, I guess. Forget what others say about you. You are really cute. I hate it when guys call me dork or geek. I was one of those back then. So he says then, but he says back then he was a dork or a geek. I think that qualifies now. She says, cool. So you don't think I'm weird talking to a 15-year-old? She says, no. Do you think I'm weird? He says, no. Are you alone? I mean, way to get to the point there, buddy. She says, well, then we're even, yeah? When will parents be back? She says, Monday. Do you want to meet me? Snakes on a Girl says, I don't know. What do you want to do? Are you a nice guy or are you a jerk? Just talk. She says, LOL, we're talking now. She says, I mean in person. She says, why? You have nice legs. So she said, why do you want to meet in person? Just to talk. In person, why? You have nice legs. She says, I think so. Didn't you see them kind of on MySpace? Didn't go there yet. I won't do anything to you. As if that isn't ominous. She says that my pics are on MySpace. What's the ID there or the link? She says, it's in my profile. Checking now. Cool. You ever meet anyone from net? Snakes on Girl says, no, not yet. I can be your first if you want. Says, I don't know. What you want to do? Whatever you want. Find a late movie. And then basically, he's just trying to groom her for a little bit. And if you kind of go all the way down, she says, how do I know that you're not a serial killer? But at first he says, well, I have to trust that you aren't a cop. She says, yeah, I'm a girl cop with girl cuffs. So this decoy's got a sense of humor. She says, So she goes down, and then at the end, the funniest part is, he says, if you're ready for sex, I'll give it to you. But I have erectile dysfunction, won't get real hard. Season girl says, that's okay. I want you to be clean and I'll take care of you. So it's funny that he asked her to be clean, but then he comes in just looking like a complete... Well, he looks as disgusting on the outside as he does on the inside. So let's kind of get to the encounter with Chris Hansen here. Oh, and props to Shigix1 for posting the video.
Hello.
Hey, take a seat. I'll be right there.
I couldn't find the place.
Oh, I know. It's so hard to find.
Donald Morrison was one of those characters who, had it not been for the...
Just look at how nasty he looks. He looked like he was like working at like a rendering plant or at a dump, but with no protective gear on. So just look at all the stains on his shirt and his child molester glasses. Like, dude just looks like a complete dreg of society, you know? Like, I know people say don't judge people based on looks, but you know what? In this case, I think it's perfectly warranted.
Graphic nature of his online conversation with someone he thought was a young teenage girl, it would be comical. What's going on?
I don't know. I just was talking to her and she said, come down and...
Now, one thing that I can say is I don't think he's very emotive, period. Like, he was the very first Predator that I saw that wasn't completely like startled by Chris Hansen. But then I watched this again and you could see it in his eyes a little bit. Like, look at how kind of like squinched or furrowed his brow is, you know? So you can tell that he's surprised, but it's not like he was like, oh crap, like a lot of the other Predators, you know? Well, what did I say? Like, this one, you don't get that feeling of, oh man, he's so screwed, because he doesn't have that kind of obvious reaction. He's screwed either way, but he doesn't get like the Highlander quickening like in the rest of them. You know what I mean?
Visitor. I have a compulsion for younger women, just meeting them.
And he's just munching those cookies.
I've met about a dozen of them online.
Did you ever get in trouble for it?
Well, I got in trouble because I met a girl in Michigan.
And how old was that girl?
17.
And what trouble did you get in there?
Well, her grandfather wanted me to try to...
Everything about this guy is just disgusting. Fuck this guy.
Charged me with something. They couldn't do anything. So they arrested me for trying for possessing child pornography because I had nude pictures of her on my computer. They ended up dropping the charges.
I see. And how did you get the naked pictures?
I love how Chris Hansen has that, like, his hand gestures and his thinking type of gesture. And just like I said in my older video, there's a reason why Chris is standing and they're sitting, because it's more of like an authoritative position. So they're looking, he's standing over them basically, and he leans in a lot too. So these guys are in a position of submission, which is oftentimes where Chris wants them to be, so that they feel more inclined to answer questions.
Of the teenage girl.
I met her in Michigan, and I took them.
You took the pictures of the girl. Mm-hmm. Morrison just laid it all out there. Not only does he admit what he is doing that night, he tells me he's got a history of doing this sort of thing. How old was the youngest girl you ever met?
17.
17.
Most of them are like 21, 22.
And tonight...
And that's why you got to be careful on the internet, on Instagram and Facebook or whatever, because you could get catfished and you might end up meeting some pervert like this.
Though you were willing to come meet a 15-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You don't know why?
Well, I know why.
Well, you treat this like, you forgot to pay for some candy at the...
Chris is sense of humor. He say, you're just treating this like you Forgot to pay for some candy at the Dollar General.
Grocery store.
I came to met her because she told me that she was bored. And I said, well, do you want me to come down and meet you? And she said, sure, come on down. So I said, okay. That was it. I know it's wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I knew I shouldn't.
At least he's honest, I guess. But the thing is this. You know, this guy seems like a moron, like a dumbass, like a complete doofus. But the fact that he, you know, if this was a real 15-year-old kid, then he could have been, he's obviously met young girls before. So he's not too dumb to, you know, get himself inserted into a situation where there is a minor at risk. So that's one of the things where we could laugh at this guy, you know, but he could do some serious harm. And it sounds like he already has.
Shouldn't have done it.
Why'd you do it then?
I don't know. Just because when people sweet talk me, I fall.
Oh, please. When people sweet talk me, I just fall for their charms, man.
In Donald Morrison's mind, he truly thinks that if, a young teenage girl says it's okay to have sex, it's okay. You say, if you are ready for sex, I'll give it to you, but I have erectile dysfunction. Won't get real hard.
Imagine hearing that. You type that to someone that you thought was in private, and there's a grown man like reading back to you that you wrote to someone that your member doesn't work.
Sure sounds like you were preparing for a sex act.
I was preparing for, because she said that, I said, if you saw what I said, if you want it, I will give it to you, but I'm not going to force anything that you don't want. I'm not going to force myself on you.
That doesn't make it legal, though.
Imagine trying to use that excuse to talk your way out of anything, and good luck with that.
No, it doesn't make it legal.
I want you to be honest with me. If I wasn't here tonight, and a young girl was, who was alone and willing to have sex, what do you think would have happened?
I could say honestly, yes, it probably would have if she would have, said, hey, let's go for it.
And you don't see anything wrong with that?
Yes, I do see things wrong with it.
Man, props to Chris Hansen for keeping these conversations going the way that he does, because he's so logical, and then he kind of, part of me doesn't think that Chris Hansen, he obviously said it earlier. I don't think that he could believe how honest this guy was actually being, because it's like he's expecting more resistance and he's not getting it. So he has to drag this out a little longer. But the guy just put it all out there and is dead to rights. So,
but I lack a judgment.
Here's this guy who's, middle-aged, who's not especially well-dressed, doesn't appear to have a lot of money in his pocket.
I'm going to call Chris Hansen king of the understatement.
He's living with his parents. You going to tell your folks about this?
I'm going to tell my folks about it.
You are?
Yes, sir.
How do you think they're going to react?
Oh, I know my mom's going to take my computer and completely throw it away.
And I wonder if he knew that he would be known by millions upon millions of people for that one line right there. Well, my mama might take my computer away.
You're 48 years old, Donald. Why should you rely on your mommy to
Why should you rely on your mommy, Donald? He sounds like a principal at a school or something. And just even look at Donald's posture. He looks like a little kid. He has his hands in his lap crossed over, and Chris Hansen's like arms crossed. It's like he's in school and he's about to go to detention. Well, he technically is, because there's cops waiting outside for him. So
do discipline here?
Because of, like I said, lack of judgment. Being lonely, having no girlfriend, physical contact with anybody, just lost it.
Ultimately, Donald Morrison says, okay, I get what's going on here. I'm probably on To Catch a Predator right now. He recognizes me finally. When you said you thought the Dateline stories were pretty bad, did you think the stories were bad because of what Dateline did, or did you think what the guys caught on Dateline?
Once again, props to Chris Hansen. This is like prime fighting weight Chris Hansen. He's got the tan, he's got the hair done, he's like young and, ready to get in the ring and go 12 rounds, This is Chris Hansen back in the day.
Did were bad.
Some of the things that Dateline did.
So wait, let me get this straight. So when you say you thought that the Dateline stories were pretty bad, are you talking about the stories or the guys who were caught in the stories?
The guys who got caught in the stories, and I know this is probably going to be on Dateline too, so go ahead and put it on.
Well, you know who I am.
Yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah, I know who you are, Chris Hansen.
Well, once I recognized it,
He probably recognized Chris Hansen's voice, because even to this day, I would know Chris Hansen's voice anywhere. He could be like, 4 rows up at a basketball game or something, and I would hear him screaming and I'd be like, "Oh snap, that's Chris Hansen!" Like 4 rows above me.
I heard recognize the voice. I don't really watch Dateline. I mean, I'm usually working 2 to 11.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline
Right,
NBC.
I understand. I know who. I recognize it from the voice.
And everything you've just said and done has all been recorded.
Okay.
And if you have anything else you'd like to tell us, we'd like to hear it.
Just saying that, I shouldn't have done it. I mean, this is.
I think that the reason why he's doing this, and I've seen some people on the subreddit saying like, yeah, a lot of the guys that are this honest just honestly think that they're just going to walk out. They're going to get away with it. They're going to say their piece and get away with it. Oh, yeah, I did a bad thing, Chris, and, I guess I'll be seen on TV. And then he's going to walk out and get in whatever he drives or take the bus home, and that's it. So, but luckily he's wrong.
Something I normally don't go out and do.
Donald, you're free to walk out that door. That same door you walked in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing, kicking me in the pants and setting me straight.
So look at his eyes. That's one thing about this guy that's always bothered me, is those eyes. Like he seems like a total dumbass, but his eyes are really, really evil. And what I mean, but you could just tell there's evil intent in his eyes. Like, I wonder what would happen if, there's a situation where like him and Chris Hansen came to a conflict and there was no cameras or anything, what he would think about doing. But just look at his eyes. Ugh. I would just punch him in the face a lot. He has a face that you would not tire of punching.
Right, Chris. Let's say it'll be the first and it'll be the last time.
Yeah, right.
I'll give you permission to even monitor me if you want to.
I appreciate that.
I'm willing, if I could find a counselor, I'll go to counseling.
Maybe he should have help. But I think, looking back on it now, there's also a little bit of showmanship going on Donald Morrison's part. He's thinking that if he admits he's got a problem and thanks me for giving him a kick in the pants, as I believe he put it, and that he'll get help, he thinks maybe he can dodge being in some sort of trouble with law enforcement.
And I don't think that he considers law enforcement. I think he's trying to save his image. And that's why I think it's scary that this guy seems like such a simpleton, but there's that spark of intelligence behind his eyes too. And I think that would make people underestimate him, and then he'd really, really be able to get over on people.
Of course, that's not going to work out very well for him.
Am I going to be arrested when I go out there?
That's not up to me.
Okay.
Classic Chris Hansen deflection. That's not up to me. Dive, dip, duck, dodge, and dodge, Chris. That's like when people ask him, and who are you? And he goes, I'll get to that in a minute. He just kind of deflects the question. It just keeps on going. Classic Chris Hansen technique.
But you're free to go.
Let me just take my MapQuest instructions with me. Who remembers MapQuest, you guys? Like, this is 2005 or 2006, and I remember I used to get MapQuest instructions all the time, and then you're trying to like read and stuff. I actually think that was worse than smartphones reading directions out loud to you or whatever, because you had to actually physically like read the instructions, and you're trying to look at your steering wheel where the instructions are laying on the steering wheel. It was just a bad time all the way around. Thank God for smartphones.
The way this is set up, there was some tendency for some of these guys.
Oh, that sweat all over his shirt. But that's even worse.
To try to go out the front door as opposed to the back door.
Where's the door at?
Straight back.
This guy is such a dumbass.
Straight back.
Right through that door right there.
And props to whoever put all these cameras here to catch all this footage. Where's the door? He's lost and wandering around the house.
He steps off that back step, which is kind of a big step, and boom, Fort Myers police are right on. What physical threat did Donald Morrison pose? Probably not a great threat.
I knew this was going to happen when Dateline was in there.
But you
Dude tackled him like Lawrence Taylor. That's what I'm talking about.
never know what somebody's got on. And you never know how somebody might react once they walk out of a house after being on television.
I'm diabetic.
Do you have any needles in your pockets?
No, sir.
Go through your knees to your chest. Roll up.
Get my glasses. Got them.
We got them.
And this is Florida. You know, it's like Texas. I think that in at the earlier part of this thing, they were saying that a lot of people, they assume, have guns in Florida. And like, I used to live in Texas where a lot of people did have guns. So, you know, people might say, oh, wow, they shouldn't have given him the rock bottom there when they friggin' tackled him. But you never know, you know?
The arrest is made. Morrison goes into, a diabetic shock of sorts. And they didn't want to take any chances, obviously, so they actually took him to the hospital. He was actually handcuffed, as I recall, to the stretcher as he went in.
Good.
He was treated and ultimately released and was processed and charged.
Donald Morrison, you're charged with the sex offense
Wearing the orange. The one-size-fits-all oranges.
against a child, fondling a victim 12 years of age or up to 15 years, and obscene communications with a computer to seduce or solicit a child.
Your Honor, may I ask a question?
No, sir.
Okay.
The judge said, no, I ain't having any of your crap, you chomo. And then look at the guys, at the people next to him. I never noticed. Are those juveniles or something next to him? How is he allowed to be in a room? Because those people look pretty young. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Yep. So Donald Morrison, he was guilty. He went to jail. And then, he just died this month. And it's funny because Joey TCAP just put this video, so props to him, where he found out
more thunderstorms in southwest Florida today,
Ian,
but this time yesterday.
he was on the news.
Tarp. The storms
going really fast,
good old
and you heard a
Donald's
lot
second
of
15 minutes
banging
of fame
and things falling.
Jeannie Ryan was inside her house, lost part of his roof, and his awning is gone. Still, he's grateful.
Did all his kitty
because
corn,
what's damaged can be replaced.
His kitty corn fly out the window
Nobody
too?
was hurt, so I'm good with it. I mean, Mother Nature at her worst.
Donald Morrison has lived in Mobile Manor since 2001.
I've been through Charlie, Wilma, and Irma.
He says the damage this time isn't as bad as when Charlie hit. Some downed fences and truss and shrubs. But unlike those hurricanes, this storm caught him by surprise.
When it came through, it was like, it sounded like a tornado is what it really sounded like. I mean, it was just really fast, quick.
Man, I didn't think that he could possibly look worse, but man, he just looks terrible. And maybe all these years of being on the RSO and stuff haven't been kind to him, but I don't care. He's a piece of trash. Actually, what's new to me is he got caught in a library after the sting looking at pictures of children too. So it actually doesn't say if he was convicted of that, because someone in the library called the police and they got him. So if anyone has any news on that, drop a comment here so we can see. But so before I wrap up, I want to go over this thread in the subreddit, and this guy said, what's his name? You Are Terrible COD 9872 said, why do we enjoy watching TCAP? And he says, I don't know. I just look forward to watching it. I grab something to eat, sit back, relax, and I flip through reruns of TCAP and Hanson versus Predator, and it puts me in a good mood. And Chris is so funny, so I get to laugh every now and then. I recently watched the "Oh my God, no" guy and thought it was hilarious. But is it strange that we find this entertaining? Guy has terrible grammar. The first person, the response says, she says, why do we enjoy watching TCAP? Because we're 6 sons of bitches. This guy put Minky29. Chris Hansen is very good at what he does, and I enjoy his dry humor. Also, it's scary to think what would happen if it wasn't a sting and the predator actually went to a teen's house. So it's extra satisfying seeing a predator get caught instead. Kiwana says, I think we just like seeing justice served, and people that would have traumatized a minor's life getting publicly humiliated as their own words get used against them. Justice is a great cocktail. My favorite is when they're afraid to hear the things that they wrote. And wrote, sir, please no, I know what I wrote. Don't read it. Oh, please, I'm sorry. And it's just so cool to see, like, all these people who we all share the same love experience for the show. And I think that To Catch a Predator, you either don't know the show at all or you love it. There is no middle ground. The only show that I can think that has this type of fan base is maybe It's Always Sunny, where you either love the show like I do and all the Sunny fans do, and you love it and you're totally into it, or you've never heard of it at all. So, all right, you guys, this is AJ. I'm going to wrap this up. Stay safe, and I'm out of here.